All right. All right. I'm back live right quick because I just seen on Sunni's page this video. So then I did a little investigation into this video and it disturbed me, man. It disturbed me. And the reason why it disturbed me is because, I know a lot of brothers that's been through the system. I've been through the system myself. And some of the things that you witness when you're in these places, you're like, how can this be? How could this happen? So before I even jump into what I'm going to talk about, I want you guys to listen real quick. That's all. I want you just to listen. Check this out.
Live reporting just now. Guy named Rob Brooks in New York State Prison just was beaten to death by the COs. I was actually in these prisons. I was at about every prison in New York State, so I know exactly what transpired.
State officials are bracing for the public release of body cam footage of an attack on an inmate at Marcy Correctional Facility near Utica. And the fallout so far has the governor directing the prison system to fire 14 workers, and the workers' union condemning the action, saying what it witnessed is incomprehensible. Prompted by the death of Marcy Correctional Facility inmate Robert Brooks, the Albany Times Union reports the 43-year-old was handcuffed and physically assaulted by corrections officers, and parts of that were caught on body cameras. As the state starts to fire the workers union said in a statement over the weekend, while it recognizes its legal obligation to defend the collective bargaining agreement and to represent all of its members, the union will fulfill that obligation. However, fulfilling this duty does not mean endorsing these actions. Again, that's from a statement from the union. The union also warning that once the public sees the video, it will undoubtedly draw comparisons to other high-profile incidents of violence involving law enforcement. This incident has the potential to make our correctional facilities even more violent, says the union. The state's attorney general's office is investigating and does have a voluntary release of videos like this.
I don't know exactly why, but I could have an idea. It could be as little as you forget your jail ID and you walk into the cafeteria to the mess hall to get some food, and the COs is checking everybody's ID and you don't got your ID. They'll go throw you on the wall, make you put your hands up, spread your legs out. And if you fall off that wall, they will leave you on the wall for freaking 5 minutes. And if you fall off the wall, this the wall, you got hands all the way back. If you fall off that wall, they would beat you. They would say you resisting.
All right. So with that, right, you hear that kind of tell from this brother, and then to see the video. I'm not going to play the video on here that of the actual beating of this brother, man. But and people are quick to throw up like a criminal history and say, oh, well, he was locked up for such and such, or he did this to so and so. So what? He's paying for his crime. No matter what the crime is, the most heinous crime that you could think of, you'll say, okay, he's paying for that crime. Justice was served, right? That's what we are about here in America, justice. That's an injustice that was done to this man. He's paying for his sentence. And when you watch the video, you see all these police officers, right, or COs, you see them beat this man. It infuriated me. It infuriated me to see, because you're supposed to be there making sure that the criminals, right, what you deem as criminals or convicts or whatever you want to call it, the people that are jailed are safe and the public is safe from them, like they don't escape. That's your job, not to be their judge, jury, and executioner. So when you watch the video, which I'm not going to play, you watch it for yourself. You look it up. It's all over right now. They beat this man viciously, man, viciously, and punching him in his nuts and all types of stuff, man. Picking him up by his neck, strangling him, holding him down, beating him, all of them. And then you see these dudes on the outside, standing outside the medical room, and they're laughing. They're laughing. No humanity there. And then you look back. Well, I look back at prison, and all the different places that I've been through, and the things that you see happen. And you wonder why there's so much stories about people that are locked up doing things to people while they're locked up. You wonder why this person, got beat on, or there ain't no camaraderie and no love or whatever in some of these institutions, and they're so violent. It's because they're seeing violence even from the staff. These people are supposed to be good people, right? The police officers that are in there are supposed to uphold the laws and regulations and all those things inside these prisons. But hold on, baby. Hold on. Close the door, please. They're in there beating people. There's been cases, and you could talk to different people that's been through different institutions, where they pinned a murder on somebody that the officer did. The officer beats somebody so viciously or does something to somebody so horrible that they lose their life, and then they pin it on this dude. Or you'll have an officer take a weapon that was used and plant it in somebody's cell. So now this person caught a whole charge just because they don't like this person. They don't have to have anything to do with it. They just don't like this person. Need some oversight in these places, man. When you hear about the stories like what we went through when we was in D.C., officers threatening our lives and talking about they're going to do this to us, running up in Scott Fairlamb's cell, making threats towards him, Officer Corporal Hayes making threats against me, locking me in my cell inhumanely for over 24 hours, leaving me in there. I'm not in solitary, outside of the conditions of COVID, but yet you deny me of everything that's mine. And that's nothing compared to the video that you will see of when they just beat this man savagely, like they did Ryan Samsel. They beat Ryan Samsel in his cell. They moved him from the cell that he was on camera, moved him to a cell that's a blind spot. And all them COs know where the blind spots are. They know this. This is why they do the things that they do. They moved him early in the morning, like 1 o'clock in the morning, to another cell so they could beat him. This happens throughout all these different institutions where it's supposed to be these people are paying for their crime. They got their time. This is their sentence, and that's that. But nobody cares. Nobody cares to talk about it. Nobody cares to do anything about it because they say, oh, well, they shouldn't have committed a crime. It's jail. It's supposed to be hard. Yeah, but this is still America. What happens inside these institutions, and people forget about that 13th Amendment where it talks about slavery is abolished. It's not. Because all they got to do is convict you of a crime, and all of a sudden you're a slave again. This is why it doesn't get noticed. They put this one out because it got caught. They got caught. Had they not got caught, you better believe nothing would have happened. It would just be another case where somebody tells you a horror story that happened to them while they was incarcerated, or they seen happen to somebody that was incarcerated, and there's no proof of it. Oh, no, he's just lying. You can't believe him. He's a criminal. That's what happens. But this happens throughout our country, man. And it's a shame because you're supposed to rehabilitate people. They're supposed to rehabilitate people. They go and get locked up for the crime that they committed. You go in there, you do some programs. You learn how to be a better citizen, a better person in this world, and then you come home and do your best to do better. But how do you come out of something like that, being locked up, and then you don't watch somebody be murdered by the person that's supposed to be the good guy, and then come home and expect that their mentality is going to be any different? It's not. It's going to say, man, it's just corruption. I did so many years because of this crime that I committed, yet I watched officers commit crimes like this all the time, every day when I was locked up in this place, and they're getting paid. They're paid criminals. They're getting paid by their government to house me while they get to be a criminal and go free. Every day they get to leave. But don't nobody talk about it. Don't nobody talk about it. Don't nobody really care about it. And to bring it, to tie it into J6, it's like, even though what happened with J6 was, us getting locked up and all that was horrible, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that it happened. I'm so happy that it happened, because these aren't people that you would look at and be like, oh, these are criminals. They were living lives of crime and all that. No, it's a bunch of people that either served in the military, was doing some kind of community outreach, activism. You had politicians, all types of people, grandmothers, grandfathers, just regular people with no criminal history that everybody will say doesn't deserve to be incarcerated with people like these criminals that you hear about on the news. Yet when we get there, these criminals, right, quotations, criminals, ask us for help. Bro, you're going to have a voice when you get out. And all of us, they did it when we was in D.C. Bro, can you please tell them what goes on in here? Can you please tell them how them officers are? Can you please? Begging for help from people that they know. They like, bro, y'all don't belong here. Y'all, you don't belong to be in here, bro. This ain't for you. This isn't your life. And they beg for the help of us. So now here we are. We're home and we talking. And this is something that's a huge issue. There needs to be some kind of oversight for these institutions, man. All these prisons, there needs to be some type of oversight that they have to be accountable to. All of them police officers, anytime they have an interaction with an inmate, it needs to be recorded and uploaded to a database that is not biased or ran by the facility. That footage, any encounter, the whole institution, all the institutions need to be surveilled. You talk about drugs. How many people are locked up right now for nonviolent offenses that are locked up for drug crimes? And then they go to prison and there's all kind of drugs inside the prison. You can't get no rehabilitation. There's drugs in there. Guess how the drugs is getting put in there? The COs. The COs are allowing the drugs to get in there. So when you have mass ODs happening like what's happening in DC DOC, how was that happening? Well, you had people coming on the visits. They was plugged up with the CO. The CO was like, look, go ahead, go in there, or we going to turn our heads and you, whoopty wop bam. And then boom, now it's drugs in the facility. And they got some bad batches that came through there. Y'all remember all the ODs that was happening off of the Fetty inside of DC DOC when we was there, when we was housed there. All types of ODs. More ODs than the city had. The cities, most of the ODs that happened from DC at that time was happening inside of the jail. Make it make sense. And the brothers is locked up in there for having it. Yet it's inside the facilities because of the officers. All throughout the prisons, same thing. All throughout these prisons, it's the same thing, man. And people just turn a blind eye to it and just count them off like, well, they're locked up. They should have never went to jail in the first place. Man, if you don't like that happening to you, you don't want a police officer to beat you, then don't go to jail. That'll be what's said. No, how about we hold people to that standard? You know, you talk about the 13th Amendment and slavery being abolished. That is slavery, where there's no accountability because you don't have human rights anymore. You're just a slave. So we could do with our property what we want in whatever state you live in, wherever you're housed at for your crime that you committed, because now you don't longer have your rights and there's nobody looking out for you. They get to do whatever they want to do to you. It's the same exact thing. Same thing. And it don't matter what color you are. You could be black, white, brown, yellow, purple. Doesn't matter. It does not matter. Once you're inside them walls, they have their way with you. Them officers are just as, not all officers. Let me rephrase that. Not all of the officers are bad. Some of them care. Some of them, they'll point it out. They'll give you the warning, right? But most of the officers, I will say, are corrupt in some way, shape, or form. They know what's happening and ain't saying nothing about it because they go by that little thin blue line and all of that. You know, they know what's going on. They know about the COs that are, sleeping with inmates. They know about it. They know that that's going on and they don't say nothing. And then when they get walked off, when they get found out because the inmate, proves like, yeah, I've been nailing old girl. That was a CO. Or the male CO gets found out by the female or because a female outed them. They just get walked off. Ain't no penalty. It's no problem. That's the reality. That's the truth. But there's no accountability. It needs to be. It needs to be some oversight, man. That brother didn't deserve to die. Didn't. Not at the hands of no police officers that are supposed to be taking him for medical attention. It's foul. It's foul. And inexcusable. So I think that that's something that we all need to really push for. When people go to prison, look, they pay for their crime. No matter what that crime is. They could be the worst of the worst type of human being. They're supposed to be in there getting rehabilitated. And when they come home, they shouldn't have no more trauma inflicted on them other than what the trauma is from prison, dealing with other inmates. That kind of stuff you can't avoid, But a CO, you should never have PTSD. They're going to come home and just really just despise cops. Some of them do. I know brothers that are locked up that say, when I get out of here, I'm going to find that CO. I know brothers that say when they get home, it's all war on police. They don't care. They spent most of their life behind bars. So when they come home, they're going after the police. And it's because of the way that them police officers treat them inside of there. The drugs that they plant and they sell and then lock them in the shoe. You get locked in the shoe for 6 months. You can't talk to your family. They take their phone away because they don't like them. So your phone privileges is gone. You can't use the computer to send out a message. It happens. And unjustly. I can understand if somebody does something and it's wrong and you got to take that punishment, right? But some of the stuff isn't right. They doing it out of spite. And that's the reality. So when we talk about fixing this country, the prison system needs to be fixed. The way that we do people that commit crimes needs to be fixed, how they live inside of there. Them police officers need body cameras on at all times when dealing with an inmate to protect themselves and to protect the person that they're dealing with, the inmate. That's got to be. It's got to happen. Because stuff like this, it's disgusting, man. So I'm pushing for it. God willing, Trump gives me this pardon and I'm free to move around again without having to call the PO or anything. I promise you, that's going to be a part of this movement. It's going to be a part of this movement, because I believe I've met too many good brothers being locked up that have done a wrong in their life, that have done something where they wish that they could turn back time and change it, and they can't. Only thing they can do is move forward, and they don't even know how to move forward because they still dealing with the reality, being locked up inside this place, and there's nothing incentivizing them to be better in life. They just got to live with the regret of the CO saying something crazy to them or doing something crazy to them on top of the other inmates that are in there that may just be some really messed up people. There's a lot of really messed up people behind there too. That's what they should have to worry about, dealing with them, not dealing with the COs. I'm going to advocate for some reform for these prisons, man. Needs to be more accountability. That's it. That's all I got. I see some of the comments I really wasn't paying attention to at first. I apologize. But yeah, we are going to have a baby. I just seen that and I felt like it just hit me. It hit me. It needs to be talked about, man. I don't care about what somebody did or why they are in prison. I care about them getting better and coming home and not doing what they did again and becoming a productive part of society, a productive citizen. You know what I'm saying? Helping them to heal. Because a lot of people, when they get locked up, man, you talk about these people, that commit these crimes or that, got murders or whatever it is, but you don't never hear about their story of how they got to be so messed up. What messed them up in the first place? What didn't they know? And you meet so many educated brothers, man, that grew up messed up and didn't know any, that grew up in the system, that grew up in prison. And they seem like such good people now. And you're like, how did you get here? He was, hey, man, I wasn't always like this. I had this happen to me. This person did this to me. I watched so-and-so murder so-and-so in front of me. And I had to, and there's so many different stories. I feel like if we could change our system, and give opportunity, like we talking about these little visas and all of that, why aren't we training people inside prison? They got them doing such mediocre jobs of, lights, like the light bulbs, putting the light bulbs together or creating a mattress. And these people are getting billions of dollars having these jobs done by inmates, slave labor, right? Why not teach them how to come home and be the same thing that you're expecting these people that come over on the visas and doing these high quality jobs? Well, here you have these people incarcerated and you obviously can force them to work, because if you don't work, they can write you a shot, right? Okay, well, look, we want you. Are you good at math? Are you good at what? Okay, this is the job that you're going to do, and we're going to make sure that you know it to a T. When you get home, there's no reason for you to fail because you have all the skills to be able to do this. Who the hell is going to come home and build a mattress? Who's going to come home and make a license plate? Who's going to come home and want to build a light bulb? To them, it's about money. It's not about rehabilitation. There's so many things that we could do within our system to make this country better. In some prisons, when you go into other countries, and that's crazy because we got a really dope country, right? But our prison system is crazy compared to some other places like the Netherlands. The Netherlands prison system is phenomenal. People literally are rehabilitated when they come out of there. Literally, their reoffense rate low. Recidivism rate, it's almost non-existent because they rehabilitate. Our recidivism rate in America, look it up. It'll blow your mind. We got to do better. Y'all. Straight up. Right here, Kenny. What'd he say? Met a lot of good dudes that made bad decisions. Yeah, you know, you went through the system too, Kenny. You just came home from prison. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. There's a lot of good brothers behind the walls, man. I just feel like we have to do more, and we got to be a voice. Look at how many people came together for the people, you know, locked up for January 6th. Y'all was out there protesting for us, and we appreciate it. And it was encouraging to us. Can you imagine if the country came together and said, we need to change our prison system, and people started showing up for them and saying, we want them to come out better. We don't want them to be what they were when they went in there. We want them to come out more. And they know that the world is standing with them, rooting for them to be better. Some of them ain't never had nobody root for them in their life, which is how they got to prison in the first place. Nobody care about them ever in their life. Still to this day, they sitting in prison. Don't nobody send them no money because they don't got no family, or their family is poor and already been through the system. They're like, well, I made it. He gonna make it. It's gonna be all right. But imagine if we just, I got a vision, y'all. I got a vision. I do. We're going to make some change, man. We're going to make some waves. I appreciate you guys. I pray for a safe delivery tonight. We're going to have this baby. All right. Love y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this one out. Share this one out, y'all. I think it's important. All right. Peace.